This video was brought to you in part by Moment. I seriously had a hard time reviewing this lens. The GF 50mm F3.5 is supposed to be an entry-level consideration for those that are new to the GFX platform, but it performs like an absolute beast. I've spent the better part of 5 months test driving this lens, and more than any other GFX lens I've used, this performs well above its price and weight. It's a seriously exceptional product with very little flaws, and because of that, it makes this review harder. On the one hand, I've been finding so much value, I feel like any GFX user could benefit from this product. On the other hand, Fujifilm's digital medium format space isn't something that's synonymous with accessibility. So telling people there's something they have to have, that they have to add it to their kit, is a tricky proposition. So with that in mind, let's explore this damn thing together and find out whether or not this lens may be right for you.
But God might be on vacation, and the promised land ain't never promised. My baby telling me to be patient, but the devil always working overnight, my darling.
It'll cost you $1,000 to own Fujifilm's smallest digital medium format lens, and that can easily feel like a bargain for some and expensive for others. For that price, you're getting a lens that is noticeably under 2 inches tall and under 350 grams in weight. While it carries a wide diameter, the filter size shrinks down to 62 millimeters, making it complement the GF 45 and 63 quite well. Everything on this lens has been slimmed down. The manual focus ring is noticeably thinner compared to other Fujifilm GF lenses, but it still carries that solid rubber texture that can easily feel like you can grip to it. This makes it easy to find and control despite the small surface area. As with most Fujinon glass, I appreciate that there's still a dedicated aperture ring. I'm sure the temptation was there to remove this ring and pack it even thinner, even tinier than it is. But let's be honest, this is a staple in Fuji glass and one that you have come to expect to complete the Fujifilm experience. The aperture ring itself clicks firm and nice, where it never feels like you're gonna shift it out of place. You have a range of f3.5 to f32 with an auto mode for shutter priority shooting and a C mode on the far end that can be locked into place to use your command dial to adjust the aperture. What takes this construction over the goal line is the fact that this relatively tiny lens also ships with weather sealing. It's a modern and welcome benefit that all lenses should have and will give you the confidence to take this thing with you everywhere, as you should. From an engineering perspective, this lens is built in a way that's conducive for capturing images in any given situation, where the lightweight really makes it easier to have with you all day. So what if you had it with you all day? What if you forced yourself to use this lens for most, if not all, your photography? Well, that's what I did for a few days in Morocco, and the results were stunning. I'm using this in studio, and I struggle to find something that's really wrong with this lens. The 53.5 is impressive, and it's even more impressive because of how compact it is, and it continues to deliver exceptional results. We did a small test with video as well, and the autofocus kept up. The image quality is phenomenal. I still don't think the GFX is really a video solution, but some of you might disagree with me. I don't know why I wouldn't recommend this lens, because if you're starting out with GFX, and because of the price point, the average retail price coming down for a GFX solution, especially when you factor in, your previous models, if you're just starting out, this might be the first lens you should get. It's inexpensive, it's small, it's compact, it might empower you to take it more places, to experiment with this camera, and to shoot more. If you're a practicing professional, well, the same might apply to you. You might want something that's small, compact, has a flexible focal range that you could take anywhere with you. If you shoot a very specific niche, maybe. Maybe if you're doing, I don't know, product photography, toy photography, landscapes where you only want the wide and the tele and nothing in between, yeah, maybe you can rule this out. But because of how small this is for a medium format solution and how good it is as well, the value it brings there, I don't know if it's a must-have lens, but I definitely think that everyone with a GFX camera should try this lens out. With an equivalent focal length of 40mm in the full frame perspective, the GF50 F3.5 packs a versatile perspective in a compact package. This is a lens that dares you to take your digital medium format everywhere and reinforces that message with some phenomenal image quality. Seriously, this thing is damn good. While only one of the 9 pieces of glass in this lens is in a spherical element, this thing manages to capture absolutely sharp images throughout the aperture range. Now, if you're pixel peeping and cropping in like it's an episode of CSI, you might notice the edges are less sharp at wider apertures, but not enough that it'll make you think that this is flawed in some serious way. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The contrast and detail that you're able to capture with this lens surprise you and make you feel like you're using something far better than what's currently mounted on your camera. As you would expect from the GF line of lenses from Fujifilm, the color is consistent and natural looking. There isn't any weird shifts or enhancements being done by the glass. You can look forward to capturing the details of the world around you with a high degree of fidelity and accuracy. What makes all of this even richer is the fact that you also have a linear motor in this tiny package that is near silent and stupidly fast, like Agent 47. So for those keeping score at home, you have a quick to focus lens that's incredibly sharp, accurately captures the world, will perform in almost any condition it's thrown into, and all of this in a package that's, relatively speaking, really small. This all comes together for a fantastic offering, but I'm sure some of you are wondering, what are the drawbacks? Surely this thing can't be perfect, right? There isn't much for me to really nitpick here. The only real problem I had was that this lens can only pull focus at around 2 feet, which feels a lot wider than what you're used to when you're using this perspective. There would be times where I want to push in for a tighter frame and it just wasn't possible. Where other lenses that share the 40mm equivalent focal length, they've trained you to be able to get in the pocket and snap your shot. Now, is this a deal breaker? It may be for some, but for the vast amount of work that you'll be doing on this lens, on your GFX camera, you'll probably won't hit this roadblock often. Besides, there's something else that's far more egregious, and that's the lens hood. This feebly cap is just ugly and barely works. It somehow manages to make this industrial, cold, ominous product seem dinky. Seriously, who of you watching are going to defend this lens hood? I want to see your hands in the comments. Looking at the market, this lens sits between the GF 45mm f2.8 and the GF 63mm f2.8, lenses with a 36 and 50mm equivalent focal length respectively. If you know that you definitely prefer one of these focal lengths over the other, this isn't a tough conversation. You pick the one that you like. That being said, if you're willing to be a bit more open, this is an interesting comparison to have. The GF45 is noticeably sharper and brighter. The 63 is probably just as sharp, but also has the aperture of f2.8. So on paper, they seem like the better product. However, they're both considerably larger and neither have a linear motor to focus as quick as the GF50 f3.5. So if you're a GFX travel or street photographer and you're looking at which of these lenses to get, you have the dilemma between the ceiling of image quality and the operability in the field. I've spent a considerable amount of time with the 45 and 63, and personally, I went with the 50. For me, I was happy to forego the marginal gain in sharpness and light gathering for a lens that would make me shoot more. With a lens like the GF50, your entire camera kit feels more approachable, where the idea of spending, this by your side for 6 to 7 hours doesn't feel like a death sentence. Now, I know this will vary from person to person, so I can only go from my experience, but if you're open to any of these 3 focal lengths being part of your GFX solution, I truly believe the GF50 F3.5 brings more value to the table. Before I share my final thoughts, I just want to give another shout out to the team at Moment for sponsoring this video. They reached out years ago and have been supporting this channel ever since. If you're watching these videos, you would have heard me talk about them before. So once again, I'm telling you to go check out shopmoment.com, where you'll find a ton of creative gear, but also some great presets and courses to take your work even further. I will also shamelessly mention my course on studio photography, where we go hard in the paint for 2 straight hours on how you can take your work to the next level. If you're looking to get better as a commercial studio or portrait photographer, you will not be disappointed in the amount of information I packed into this course. Again, it's shopmoment.com. Visit the link below for all the details. The GF50 F3.5 is not a lens you buy for the aperture. Full stop. This is a lens you get because it changes how you work, and more importantly, how often. The small profile, the fast focusing, and the premium construction make this an empowering lens to have in your kit. If you are someone that's already or hoping to bring your Fuji medium format camera outdoors more often, I believe that this lens has to be on your short list. While the idea of saying that any GF lens on the market is a must-have is still weird for me, this GF50 is the closest I've ever gotten. And there you have it. That's my review of this lens, but more importantly, I'd love to hear what you think. Is this a lens you plan on adding to your collection? Is this a lens that has you pricing out an entire GFX solution? Or do you still give zero fucks and happy with what you have? I'd love to continue the conversation in the comments below. As always, my name's Gadgen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.